Hi, welcome to another edition of MTG Playback. I know it's been a while. It's been really busy with ministry, returning to two worships on Sunday. We had a special interfaith service, bringing in 12 congregations, Jewish, Muslim, together. There's been school with the kids and all sorts of things. So it's been a long time since I've been able to sit and actually play a game of Arena. But I figured I'd try to get back into it, especially with the Lost Caverns of Ixalan app out. People are changing their decks and all sorts of things. And so I too am trying to move into a new style of deck. I want to continue to play blue-white, moving away from Flash, well, using Flash, but trying to really embrace Soldiers and Azorius Soldiers, which is a popular theme that is starting to pop up all over. But again, I'm in the situation where I don't really have a lot of the rares or to make the deck exactly what I want. So I'm going to just massage what I've been working on so far. And so here's the deck, and we're just going to kind of walk through it a little bit. As you can see, we're going to bring in some Lunarch Veterans, trying to get some life gain, get the Recruitment Officer to get cards off the top. Usual Resolute Reinforcement, make disappear, Zephyr Sentinel. Bringing in the Tidebinder, which is a new card from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. It's a card I want to have more and more copies of. So we're just going to kind of speed through here a little bit. And let's get into this match. And as you saw at the end of that video, it is an extremely long match, and we'll walk through it. So this is fine. It's 2 lands. I hope I get a third one, but at least I got a couple Faerie Masterminds. So play an island and just wait. All right, they're playing tap lands, which is weird. So we'll see what happens. They might be stuck in the same boat I am. So we have two Faerie Masterminds, 2 wedding announcements. Yes, black, blue. Still not quite sure what they're playing with right now. I'm going to flash in my Mastermind at the end of their end step. And so this is a game where my opponent really just spends a lot of time thinking, which is one reason why it goes so long. And they immediately cut down. I kind of expected that. Luckily, I have another one. I was really hoping that would be a land there. It is not. So I have missed my land drop, my 3rd land drop. So I'm kind of in trouble already. I don't have my curve, the amount of mana it takes to cast certain ones of my spells is not large, but I do need land available. And as you can see, they got their 3rd land into play, which means they're not missing their turns. So they're black-blue, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly are they playing. Maybe some type of control deck. And then they bring in Jace, which will go mill my library. So you know what? Let's just get rid of it right now. Boop. Off it goes. Great. Alright, that's not another land. It's another 3-drop. I only have 2. Now I probably could have brought in my Harbin there to have something on the field. I chose not to, just in case they were going to do anything with card draw. So, not quite sure. I probably could have done with the Harbin there. And they're going to counter it with the Sycopath, which is a thing I don't see very often. Again, not another land drop. So now I've got lots of 3-drops in my hand. I've missed my land, 1, 2, 3 lands in a row. So I'm kind of thinking I'm in trouble, but they're going so slow. I'm not quite sure what's happening. All right, they're going to exile one of my creatures. Fine. All right, well, I didn't get a land, but at least I got something to play. So I'm just going to get it on the field to have something to play. So if I was playing kind of a faster deck or an aggro deck or something else, like I feel like I should be dead by now because I've missed, like I haven't been able to play a land in 4 turns. But I'm still here, still there, still working, still existing. Finally a land. Wish I had a plains instead of an island, but I'll take it. We'll get 2 damage in. And then I decide to bring in the wedding announcement. They don't counter that one, and I start getting some counters. So they've got plenty of land. And you can't see in the recording, though, that they have find they have lots of stuff in their what's it called? In their hands, so like it just feels very strange. So I'm gonna flash, get some damage in, get them down to 19. Play another announcement. Get a couple more tokens. Now they haven't done anything. Like, I feel like they should have done stuff by now, so I'm thinking it's going to be a board wipe. I have no idea what kind of deck they're playing. Doop, 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 doop. Alright, Path of Peril, which is going to destroy all my tokens. Not great, which they did. Now, again, I didn't draw another land. So I know at some point in the future, I'm going to get to a situation where I will do nothing but draw lands. So I feel the need to hurry and get something on the board. Alright, so I've flipped over one of my wedding announcements, which gives all my creatures now +1/+1. I've got my Errant and Giada, which will enable me to, in theory, get things off the top of my library. They, of course, play another Invasion of Fiora, which is another board wipe, and they wiped everything off the board. Did draw that land. It comes in tapped, which isn't great. I'll play another Errant and Giada. I get another token, and they flip it over. But, you know, it's kind of disappointing because I didn't get the card draw or the cards I wanted. Now, here's something I did not expect them to play. I think I should have, which is to Breach the Multiverse. So what it does is it allows them to take 10 cards off my library, out of my library, put in the graveyard, 10 on theirs. And then they get to pick a creature or planeswalker in each one and bring that back onto the field. As you can see, they got some of my lands, several of my counter spells, and a Wandering Emperor, which is a powerful planeswalker, and a couple of other creatures as well. So they've got a lot to decide, and they've killed a lot of my creatures too. So nothing super, nothing major, but they've got a choice to make. So they've got their Jace, they've got Jin the Taxus. They've lost a couple of their removal, but not a ton. So they take their Jin Taxus, which they could flip and transform into an enchantment. But it's pretty powerful because whenever you cast a spell with 3 mana or greater, you can then draw a card. Then they took my Wandering Emperor. Finally get another land. They have no... I can wipe the... I decided, you know what, I'm just get rid of their Wandering Emperor. I wish I had that copy instead. They don't have any flyers, so we'll just get that off the board.
Until next time, then.
I then put the Lunarch Veteran into play. I probably could have put it in sooner to get some life gain off it, but I didn't. Now here's a Shrouded. There you go. Shrouded. I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I feel like I have a... what's it called? Something grabbing on my tongue. So they're going to put that into play, which is a card and a creature that can necessarily flip. So it's one of the things, you pay a certain amount of mana, you can flip it into an enchantment and make it do a lot of things that can cause all sorts of problems. So I'm going to flash in my Cathar Commando, which is going to be pumped up pretty big, but also has the ability to destroy an enchantment. So when that came into play, I have to sacrifice a non-token creature. I'm going to sacrifice my Lunarch Veteran, which I then cast from the graveyard. So it's not really a big sacrifice, but it is one. Can't really do anything about the Jin, so I'm just going to wait for a minute. So this is a long game that hasn't done much. Alright, got another land. This is Fortified Beachhead. When it comes in tap unless you reveal a soldier card or have a soldier card in play. I have a soldier card in play, so I don't need to reveal anything. Trying to think about what to do now. Decide to bring in Adeline, which is going to be big, 6/6, because that's the number of creatures that I have, and it's going to be popped up the wedding announcement. It also has a feature that when I attack, it's going to create a token. But unlike the wedding announcement token, which just makes a random citizen, a human citizen, the Adeline will make a soldier, which is beneficial for some of the other soldier things that I'm doing. So I'm going to attack with the Murata Serata, knowing that they don't have any reach or anything like that. So we have another 3/3 attacking. They can just block it, but it makes my Adeline pretty bigger as well. So I'm feeling like now my board is starting to get wide. I am worried that there could be more board wipes, etc. But I'm starting to get wide, and my goal is to go around them. Right, I got flyers. They don't. Feeling pretty good right now. Okay. All right, so here's they're going to now do Sheoldred, which is then going to be turned to the True Scriptures. And the first thing is it has to destroy, for each opponent, destroy up to one target creature. So that's the goal right now. All right, so they're going to try to switch it. They're going to pick. Of course, they're going to destroy my Adeline. But before not letting them do anything else, I'm just going to wipe that thing off the board. It doesn't mean it wipes away the destruction of my creature, but it at least buys me some time. Alright, they're going to just keep drawing cards, that's fine. So again, pretty slow, not much going on. But here's where I look at what's in their graveyard. See all the things that are in their graveyard. And sadly, I don't think you'll be able to see this on the screen. But I'm starting to wonder how many cards they have left in their deck. Right, I finally get the land. So now I think I'm in that part where I'm going to start getting a bunch of lands over and over and over again. Which is not great. I'm also at this time going to start using my life total as a resource. I got them down to 8. I've got flyers. I'm feeling pretty good. Maybe I can just go over the top. Very slow. This is not how one of these decks should work. But it's there. It's available. And I've at least got one more thing to flash in and destroy another enchantment as needed. A little worried that they'll be able to flip over their invasion, but so they're thinking. And unlike me, like I have one card in my hand, they do not. They have, if I remember right, several. Quite a bit, actually. As you can see, because of the Errant and Giada, you can see on the top of my library is another land. That's not great. I don't have anything really good to cycle it. So they're going to put my Errant and Giada back into my hand, which is frustrating. It's annoying. But fine, at least it's not destroyed. Now here's where I decide I'm going to flash back in my Cathar Commando, which they didn't know I had. I probably didn't need to do that. Yeah, I think at the time I actually thought, in my head I blanked it and thought that was a Resolute Reinforcement. It's not. So I thought I could get another token. It's not. And just because I returned it in my hand, it has flash, so I can just bring it back out again. But now I see what they're going to try to do at this point, which I think they're going to counter it, which I think was their whole goal. Counter it, draw a card, and goodbye. And then I draw an island. So, not great. I decided to keep the island, I think, in my hand, just to pretend that I have something in my hand. Decide to attack, just, Get them down, see what I can do. Get them down to 5. I could just... I wonder if I could have at that point just flooded them, then I could have then had lethal, and at least have taken off their Jin and their... I would have been down to... They would have killed my creatures. I would have been down to just 1. And so off the top, they get the Chrome Host Sheet Shark, which is not great for me. Now they have a flyer. Our flyers can't kill each other, but they can block. And I no longer have the other flyer in my hand. So not great. All right, here's where I'm just drawing lands. Nothing exciting now. So this is a game I feel like I'm going to lose. Unless I get some spells, I think I'm going to lose here. I also no longer have very many... see, my mic disappears, my counter spells have been gone. I don't really have an opportunity to stop this. And then here, when they put the Takanuma, and they bring back their Sheoldred back on their hand, this is a problem. I have plenty of life to use as a resource, but I'm going to start losing things off the board, and I don't know if I have things off the top of my top to be able to do anything. So there goes one of my flyers, and now they can just hit me. All right, so now... Alright, so here's something. Now, I haven't played the Tidebinder yet. It's pretty powerful, though, and here's why. It can counter at one targeted activated or triggered ability. So this then becomes a tool to stop their Sheoldred from flipping. Alright. So... Alright, so my hope is that they're going to try to flip it right away. They put a Mind Splace. Again, they're going to start drawing their cards too much. And they did it. So, I'm going to counter that ability. I think at the time I didn't even know if this would work, but it does. Counters it. And it means they can't do it as long as my Tidebinder is still on the field. Alright, so that means something, right? So now I've stopped that. They've still got a flyer and I don't. I got 2 lands in hand. This isn't great. They're going to flip their invasion. Which again, Death Touch Menace isn't great. Alright, so I got a Faerie Mastermind. At least I get a flyer. Not gonna do anything. Oh, that's my dog. If you hear the ching 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 that's walking around on the hardwood floor, that's my dog walking around. And that's another new thing since I last made a video. I have a dog now. Alright, so here's an interesting thing. So when Marchesa, if the person who owns it didn't get combat damage the previous turn when their opponent was, they're forced to draw a card. It's not a may. They are forced to draw a card, which can be good unless, and they lose 1 life, right? and that which can be good if you have life to lose, but they're down to 5 life. Okay. And at this point, now here I don't think they're paying attention to what they're doing, right? So they're trying to make their board wide. They're going to incubate. They're going to get bigger creatures and etc. like that. And they're going to fill their hand. But now I see that I can't go wider. I can't go bigger than them. I don't have a Sunfall. I don't have anything to wipe the board at this point. But I see what they're doing here, and they're looking for something. Or I think what they're trying to make the artifacts. They're trying to make as wide an attack as possible. But they're using up all their mana. Right? And you can look in the little pile. That deck, their deck is getting smaller and smaller. They've got 5 life. If I don't hit them, they could, and if they don't attack me, they could, in theory, kill themselves. Now, I don't know if they're doing that on purpose or if they're even aware of it, but that becomes my strategy at this point. I can't beat them by going wide. They've got too much stuff on the board, so I'm going to try to mill them so that they no longer can have a library or card to draw, and so they lose the game. Now, if they had a strategy of, not trying to overload their card so much, but by trying to turn those artifacts over, I think they would have a better shot. Get a 1-drop, I'm going to play it. Three lands in my hand, not great. Not going to attack. I want them to go down to 4 life. And lose a card. Right? I have like 20 or 25 cards still left in my library, so like I'm fine. Yep, so they're going to start trying to go wide. They're going to build some artifacts here. I think they could have been more aggressive attacking. In fact, I probably could have been more aggressive attacking. I probably could have attacked. If I attacked with my Faerie Mastermind, then they would have had to been blocked with that Chrome Host Sword Shark. But that would have interfered with my procedure, my hope of getting them to mill themselves to death. Because the Chrome Host encourages them, if I remember the card right, it encourages them to draw cards. Maybe. Actually, maybe not. It doesn't do that. It creates the incubate. Alright, so here they are. They're going to try to... oh, that's right. So Chrome Host is the one that is building the artifacts. So they're going to try to get rid of my Faerie Mastermind because they want to go over the top, which is fine. I'm going to force them to draw a card. Keep getting them to force draw cards. But here's the only annoying thing about this is they're going to get life. So they kind of know that I'm trying to, but they think I'm just trying to get them to ping themselves to death through the Marquesa's ability. So now they're at 12, right? So that's a pretty big, annoying issue. They've used up most of their mana. Right? They have a go for the throat. They're going to try to pop off one of my creatures. They're going to create another thing. So in response, I'm going to bring in these 2 creatures, get my life up a little bit more, and also just have blockers in place. Drew another... Right? Now, if they had flipped a couple of those artifacts, they could really go wide. They would lose on the clapback, because I have a lot of life. So I think they're trying to figure out math. So they're going to send in the Marquesa. They're going to try to end the Chrome Host. But I got plenty of life, right? I got plenty of life. I don't have to worry about it too much. I am a little worried. Actually, I don't know how this is going to work because I do have counters on my wedding announcement. And so they're going to try to get those counters off. But once it's flipped. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm still giving myself +1/+1. Again, this game is going on forever. All right, so they get me down to 22. It's 5 damage. It's not very much. Now it's my turn. As you see, I have 4 lands in hand, and I got 1 card in my graveyard I can cast. I wish I had recorded the video of their hands. You would have seen how big their hand gets, how many cards they get in their hand, and how many they have to keep tossing in their graveyard. So I'll play a land. And it's at this point I probably should have been... This is a mistake on my part. I kept the lands in my hand to pretend that I had something in my hand, but if I had been smart, I should have been playing those lands because that would give me more options and availability to, say, for the Faerie Mastermind, keep forcing them to draw cards, or use Fortified Beachhead to give my creatures, my soldiers, to pump them up a little bit. So not having all my mana available on the board actually limited what I could do. Because I was trying to pretend that I might have a counterspell or something in my hand, but I don't. So I bring my flyer back. I have a flyer that can protect me at least. I'm still looking at how many cards they have. They're trying to make their boards wider, which makes sense. Alright, here they go. They draw a card, they draw another card, so they're on 2. I think they only have like 1 or 2 cards left at this point. My board is their board with a 9/9 and a 5/5. Those things don't have trample, so I can still chump block them. But I know that if they just flipped all their artifacts over right now and launched all of their creatures into attack, I could Zephyr Sentinel, bring back the ref. I could chump block a lot of them. I would take a lot of damage. I haven't done the math yet, but that could be a problem. So here, though, they decided to cast Chase. Okay. Which I think is a interesting play. I'm not quite sure it's the right play. Now I'm worried they're going to try to mill me out, which they totally could. Right? I only have like 20 cards in my library at this point, so it's really close where they could mill me out. If they did this now, they would get me down to 4 or 5 cards in my library. I don't quite understand this play where they make one of my creatures 0/3, my flyer. Right? I think what they better use of mana in that point would have made their artifacts bigger and then swing out with their artifacts. Clear my bowl. Then I think they're just casting things now because I don't know why they did this. Now they're casting this to make an incubate because they think, oh, here I'm gonna get more artifacts. But if you look, they keep drawing cards. The Jin thing is not a May. You have to. And if you look up there in their library, there's no cards left. So I just have to survive. And then they kill themselves. Right? So I didn't have to do this. I already knew I won. Right? Because they'd have to be forced to draw a card and they can't. So I'm just going to annoy them. I'm going to take this soldier, put it back into my hand. Right? It leaves the play. I gain a life. I could have just cast it again to annoy them, but I didn't. Instead, I just let it go. And so that's it. That is this edition of MTG Playback. This, as you can see, was a 25-minute game, which is ridiculously long in Magic the Gathering Arena. It's not super long. I play paper games that last that long usually, especially in draft, etc. So that's not surprising. But playing in Arena like this, pretty silly. I should have lost, but sometimes all you have to do is you just basically see what your opponent is giving you, see what they're playing, and I kind of realized that they were trying to find a certain way of their victory. I don't think they really had a good idea what their victory win con would have been in that situation, and I realized I just had to let them keep playing, keep searching, keep looking for cards, and then I got them. So thank you for watching this edition of MTG Playback. Please like and subscribe. I am going to be placing the deck list on here, and let me know how you are doing with Azorius Soldiers, especially after Lost Caverns of Ixalan came out. It's a deck that I kind of want to play and get better at and work on, especially in paper form, and would love to know and discover and hear about any insights you have. Thank you, and see you next time.